Thanks a lot, Anjali, for that. Good afternoon and welcome to the Market Closing Show. This is our collab show between Business Today and India Today Television. I'm Sakshi Batra and this is the 3 p.m. show where we will get you all the market closing action. But first up, let's take a look at what's hot in the world of business and the corporate world as well. Markets rally on global optimism as the Sensex soars 1,000 points and the Nifty nears 26,200 mark. Bank Nifty hits a fresh record high level while the mid-caps and the small-cap indices gain over 1%. The first day of December series sees strong, broad-based buying across the market. Metal stock surge as center is likely to be clearing 7,300 crore rupees rare earth magnets incentive scheme. Move targets fully indigenous manufacturing ecosystem with 6,000 ton capacity. Nifty metals index jumps 2%. Hindustan Zinc, GMDC and Nalco surge by up to 6% in trade. Bharti Airtel shares slip over 2% as 7,400 crore rupees block deal hits the markets with 3.5 crore shares, about 0.6% of equity now changing hands. Promoter entity ICIL is likely the seller. Gold is back in flavor among investors, hits a 2-week high with U.S. economic data raising expectations of an interest rate cut by the U.S. Federal Reserve next month. Spot gold is now above the $4,150 mark on the COMEX. In India, the 24-carat jumps 2,000 rupees overnight and now crosses the 1,27,000 rupee level. Prime Minister Narendra Modi inaugurates Safran's aircraft engine services facility in Hyderabad. The French aerospace major plans to triple India revenue to 3 billion euros by 2030 and agrees to full fighter jet engine tech transfer. Prime Minister Modi now urges Safran to design and build engines in India. Strong day for Dalal Street, and it's the first session of the December series as well. Right now, the Nifty is now trading at 26,212 mark. It's 26,211 for the Nifty. In trade, you're also looking at all the sectors now into the green, led by the Nifty metals, 2% higher. Oil and gas, 1.7% up. Media index, Nifty next 50 index. Also, when we talk about the IT stocks, they're also hovering about 1.5% higher. In fact, at least 10 stock indices are up by over 1% each. You're seeing a broad-based buying action. Small caps and mid caps up by over 1%. The Nifty Bank at record high levels as well. Top of the show as far as the Nifty is concerned, JSW Steel, HDFC Life, Bajaj Finance, Bajaj Finserv, Jio Financial Services, so NBFC and metals definitely showing from the top as among those top gainers. Let's actually go across to Shaina Mukaddam, our market expert for the day, to help us understand what's behind this fresh wave of move. And with this over a 325 point of a jump on the Nifty, can we yet again hope for fresh record high levels soon rather than later? Shaina, warm welcome. Good afternoon to you. What do you make of the market's move?
It's showing a lot of strength, and it's a combination of factors. I believe one is a bit of short covering. Two is we're seeing buying come back from FIs, so that is supporting. The DIs have have been buying throughout the month, but you are getting some extra support. And I think some of the government policies announcements are driving some sectors, like for example metals that you touched upon. So it's a combination of many factors.
Okay, so what do you make of this fresh wave of metal rally that we are seeing at this point in time? Remember, metals have always been extremely volatile and rather than a structural story. Do you think things are changing for the better for the metal story, and what are the key factors there?
Yeah, I think there are a couple of issues over here that are supporting the sentiment positive going in for metal stocks. Let us take copper, for example. Copper, the prices have gone up. If you see the last 2-3 months, have gone up substantially. So there you have some of the copper stocks that are doing well today. You have Hindustan Copper that was actually doing pretty well today. Of course, let me just say that I personally have investments, small investments, but in a number of these metal stocks also, including others. Now, today we've had announcement regarding the mineral and metal mining, the mining industry, where actually from some months there has been discussion as to the boost that the government was likely to give for them to,
Yeah.
for not only domestic mining, but also look to international areas where they can, countries where they can actually increase mining of rare earth to make India
Absolutely.
self-sufficient. So I think to that extent we have GMDC, which actually also rallied. Other than that, we've had aluminium, Nalco, Hindalco. So it's a broad-based rally. Even, for example, government has come across saying that even for steel, there would be some protection going forward, increasing protection going forward. So the overall sector is doing well among other sectors.
Okay, so should one just select a few stocks from this entire basket? Should one bet big on the Nifty Metals Index? Is ETF a better way to play this wave of momentum that we are seeing? How are you advising clients to look at the metal story?
I would say it is better to be stock specific. I've already mentioned my top picks as of now. Given the balance sheet quality, the opportunity, and the price strength in the individual metals, I would go with Hindustan Copper first, GMDC 2, Nalco 3, and Vedanta. I'm a bit iffy because there are a lot of
Yeah.
changes that are happening in terms of the, there is going to be split in the Vedanta stocks into a number of different companies. So I would be a bit iffy on Vedanta, but it could be a trading pick if you would want to go in for it.
Okay, fair point. Well, so the metal story is definitely moving in strong, 2% higher, shining the brightest as far as the sectors are concerned. Along with this, we are also looking at some of the other commodities like oil and gas also pulling up in space. You look at the cement story, that's also doing well. How are you looking at some of the other commodities-based move that we are seeing right now? What else looks attractive to you, Shaina?
See, oil I would avoid as of now because while we are seeing very high GRMs,
Yeah.
Singapore GRMs and that are as of now, but I believe that at least we are hearing very strong news or rumors that there is going to be some sort of settlement between Russia and Ukraine. Now, if that were to happen, and one of the major conditions that Russia is putting in is that they should be allowed to enter into the oil market globally. So, if that happens, then we are likely to see these come off, and I would say it is a bit risky to enter into that segment as of now. So that is, oil is something I would give a skip as of now.
Okay, let's also talk about the defense space. Remember, viewers, Paras Defense is in focus today after signing MOU for the development of an MRI magnet system. In an exclusive conversation with Business Today Television, the company has laid out its growth roadmap and new sectors that it is gearing to enter. First up, let's listen in to what the conversation was, and then we'll take an overall view from Shaina on defense space.
In the medium term, 3 years to 5 years, what are the new sectors that Paras Defense hopes to enter?
So, three or four areas that Paras Defense is really strongly banking upon. One is our anti-drone systems. We've been, shout out towards an anti-drone technology, how complex it is and how relevant it is for today's warlike situations, even prior to what happened with our nation. Post what happened, now you see anti-drone becoming the blue-eyed boy of technologies to be deployed on the war front. So anti-drone technology is one area, very, very strong area. Uh, uh, you will be surprised to know that Paras has been conferred by the Ministry of Defense to develop uh, laser systems for air defense applications. And we are going to take this as an opportunity. The faith and the trust that the ministry has shown on us, we are going to take it to level where we will be wanting to become the laser technology company for not just for defense but also for space. So this is where we would want to go. The third area that we would want to work on is the space sector, where we already have a very strong positioning, but we would want to take our contribution for space from just optics and optical systems to a larger value added products and solutions. So that is where one area. And electromagnetics, right now electromagnetic pulse protection or electromagnetic solutions is a very, very dormant technology, because people are not aware of the threats that are associated with it, just like an anti-drone which was 3 years back. Today, electromagnetics is at that level. Maybe couple of or 3 to 5 years from now, that will become extremely relevant and extremely big as an opportunity.
Let me go across to Shaina now and try and understand what's actually happening in the defense space. And are you looking at any key stocks? Are valuations looking better than before? Is it giving you any opportunity to enter at this point? The index is up by 1.2%. It has had periodic strong moves. What would you say?
Yeah, see, actually, after very good performance, if you see last year, we saw a bit of softness come in the overall sector in the last couple of, I would say, in the last quarter. Having said that, I think valuations still remain a bit expensive, but the opportunity is so big, and especially if you're a long-term investor looking at 3 to 5 year investment, there I believe that the changes that the order book position, the increase in order book, that is actually pretty strong and likely to be good investments. Here, I would believe you need a portfolio of stocks in your, a couple of stocks in your portfolio, and you could look at some of the leaders like BEL. You could look at Hindustan Aeronautics, though of course they've had this small bit of negative. But of course, uh, we uh, we really believe that in the next 3 to 5 years, it's going to be a good stock to hold. Of course, you have some of these smaller stocks, which, as you know, you just had the interview where they are looking at drone technology, they're looking at surveillance systems, smaller companies, the small cap companies, like for example, Zen Technologies. They've got some order today. You've got Paras that is talking of orders. These are all the sub 10,000 or crore market caps. So if your valuations are expensive, but if you're looking at 3 to 5 year, I think these also could be decent opportunities to enter into. You have solar industries that's doing pretty well. So you have a number of stocks in the overall sector that you could hold in your portfolio.
Okay, let's also focus on how French defense major Safran has now offered to build its engines for the Rafale fighter jet in India. Remember, the company today has inaugurated its largest civil aircraft engine maintenance and repair facility, or the MRO as it is called, outside of France in Hyderabad now, and has said its revenues from India operations will cross 3 billion euros by 2030. The company makes CFM LEAP engines widely used by Airbus 320 and Boeing 737 aircraft. Safran will soon set up an MRO facility for M88 engines used in Rafales at the same location as well. It had already on Monday signed a deal with Bharti Electronics to produce Hammer smart precision guided air-to-ground weapons in India. So let's actually take you to excerpts from the exclusive chat Business Today has had with Olivier Andriès, the CEO of Safran, in conversation with my colleague Karishma Sudani.
We are also a strong partner of the Rafale fighter. So today we have announced that we will establish here also a maintenance, repair and overhaul facility for the Rafale fighter engine named M88. This is the first time we do that outside of France. So it's a trustful, let's say, movement from us, but we do that to serve the Indian Air Force, the Indian Navy, but also our customers in the region as well.
How soon could that be on the footing in terms of commencing?
This will be operational, fully operational by, I would say, end 2027, I would say.
2027.
Yeah.
So the next 2 years, very important 2 years for you.
And more to come, because we are committed to make in India and build a complete engine ecosystem in India, relying on our civilian leg and our military leg. And so we will contribute to build a complete Indian aerospace engine ecosystem.
US Prime Minister Narendra Modi has also, meanwhile, urged Safran to do more than just set up an MRO in the country. He has urged the French defense major to also design its engines and systems in India. The PM has announced big plans for the shipping sector as well.
आने वाले वर्षों में पूरे एमआरओ इकोसिस्टम को नई गति, नई दिशा देगी। इस फैसिलिटी से देश के दक्षिण भारत के नौजवानों के लिए रोजगार के अनेक अवसर बढ़ेंगे और हम सिर्फ एविएशन एमआरओ तक सीमित नहीं रहना चाहते। हम शिपिंग से जुड़े एमआरओ इकोसिस्टम पर भी बहुत बड़े स्केल पर काम कर रहे हैं। साथियों, हम हर सेक्टर में डिजाइन इन इंडिया को भी बड़े पैमाने पर प्रमोट कर रहे हैं। मैं साफरान की टीम से आग्रह करूंगा कि आप भारत में एयरक्राफ्ट इंजन और कंपोनेंट डिजाइन की संभावनाओं को भी एक्सप्लोर करें। इसमें एमएसएमईज का हमारा बहुत बड़ा नेटवर्क और हमारा युवा टैलेंट पूल आपको बहुत मदद करेगा। साफरान एरोस्पेस प्रोपल्शन सिस्टम पर बड़े स्तर पर काम करता है। मैं चाहूंगा कि आप प्रोपल्शन डिजाइन और मैन्युफैक्चरिंग के लिए भी भारत के टैलेंट और अवसरों का उपयोग करें।
Absolutely. So that was all the focus about Make in India and make India's defense system strong. Let's go back to Shaina and try and understand how should one be really looking at this as a long-term theme for one's investment portfolios as well. We've seen what happened in 2024. Suddenly everybody was talking about defense. Suddenly every investor wanted to have defense in their portfolios. There were so many NFOs that were launched. There were so many mutual fund indices that were launched that would track the defense move. And, right after, we saw all the defense stocks fall sharply, looking at the steep valuations because every stock was rallying just on mere sentiment and huge order flows, but execution was still slow. Even now, we see that the order flows that are coming in have to be surfaced over the next 5 years, 10 years odd, but the sentiment is up and about at this point in time. So how would you advise an average investor looking at defense in this new world order as the theme to look at over the next 5 to 10 years?
Yeah, so basically we've seen the corrections set in, I think, from June to now, 4 5 months, we've seen the correction. And some of the stocks, like for example, BL I mentioned,
Yeah.
order book is strong. They've got something like 72,000 crores of orders in hand, which is almost 3 times its turnover. And execution also has been pretty good. So I think if you combine good execution along with a good order book, uh, slightly higher valuations, about if you take P basis, about 50 times. So it's not cheap. But at the same time, if you're holding it for 3 to 5 years, the opportunity that exists for making decent amount of money in a strong sector exists. So I think one needs to modify your portfolio to have have companies which have good order book as well as is showing good execution and a strong balance sheet. So I think some of the stocks that we mentioned earlier do fall into that category.
Okay, got that. Let me also just go across to try and understand when it comes to Make in India, there are other manufacturing sectors that one should be really looking at as well. And where else would you find opportunities when it comes to the Make in India theme that continues to be one of the focus themes for the government, and the government is consistently talking about incentives, PLIs, for encouraging more and more industries to make in India, to safeguard themselves from the disruptive supply chains that we've been seeing in many cases, right from COVID up until now, from the semiconductors to the rare earth space as well. Now looking at the government's push even more on this space, how would you look at tapping Make in India widely beyond even defense?
See, well, we have semiconductors, we have EMS, the electronic manufacturing companies. Now, here, I think in both these segments, opportunity is good. Like, for example, CG Power, you have Keynes Technology. But in my view, the valuations are still expensive. So, if you are a investor who's looking at a 1 year holding, you may not make too much money because most of the investments that they have made are likely to start, showing good numbers in say FY27, FY28. So I would believe that if you want to enter into the stocks, look for certain dips that you get, and you do get dips in across the sectors, across companies. So look at these, keep them in your list to buy, and any dips that you see, you can add on to them. In similar is for the electronic manufacturing. Like for example, you have Dixon. My view, the valuations are expensive. There's nothing really wrong
Yeah.
in those companies, but valuations are expensive. So I would think dip look at dips to buy and invest if you're looking at this sector.
Okay, like when we were talking about semiconductors, names like Moschip were already surging at days high level. So we have been looking at a lot of these stocks that are now buzzing in trade. Apart from these sectors, let's also talk about the tech space at large. Look at Moschip; it's like a vertical rally that we are seeing at this point in time, 3.7% higher. Let me first just take a view on Moschip. What do you think is led to this sharp move? Almost a 4% of an uptick on Moschip right now, 217 odd levels. Shaina, how are you looking at this stock, and do you think these levels also give an opportunity to enter afresh?
I would say better to buy it at dips, never get in when the stock is moving up on good news and it's showing that sharp rally. Uh,
Hmm.
I would wait, and valuation is also expensive. So it's a good
Okay.
company to hold for the long term, but not at these levels.
Not at these levels. There's a sharp spike, almost now 4.2% higher, even as we spoke about it, 218 right now. Huge volume surge that can be seen on Moschip Technologies right now. Viewers, keep an eye out on this stock. Let's talk about the broader tech universe now. The IT stocks of late have been starting to move out of their large underperformance that they have displayed all this year round in 2025. But if you look at the last 1 month, there has been considerable amount of an uptake across large caps, across mid caps. Of course, there was no big negative news in Q2 earnings that we actually saw, no positive surprises either. But at the same time, there are these conversations that even you're talking about, that there could be a potential, US-India deal that could be in the offing. Once that happens, there could be some, sentiments that return to the tech sector as well. And of course, the valuations after that long lull also seemingly look promising at this stage. How would you look at the IT sector? Would it be, giving you any opportunities, or would you still be cautious at this space?
Yeah, so actually the fear that AI is going to actually disrupt growth for the domestic ITs, because they are largely services, would disrupt their growth going forward, is to some extent, subsiding. Also, you have the rupee depreciation, which is
Yeah.
which will support them at least over the next couple of months. So, and in terms of the valuations, they are becoming pretty attractive. Like for example, TCS is now just about 3,000, 3,100. Infosys is actually, going through their open offer, which is actually
Yeah.
ongoing. So at 1,800. Of course, there's no point in buying it now because, you're not going to get to participate in that. But at the same time, once that closes and it settles down, then you could look at, entering in that. You have most of the other stocks like Mahindra Tech. They're talking of, good growth over the next 3 years. So you can take your pick. HCL Tech also is doing well. Persistent Systems. So you have some of the stocks which have actually consolidated over a couple of months, which you could look at. But here also you cannot expect to be a multi-bag or anything of that sort. You have to look at buying and expecting some decent 10 to 12% upside over the next 1 year.
Okay, got that. Just 3 minutes to go before we see the end, in fact, of the session today. Remember, within the IT pack, Infosys is also in focus. Remember, today is when the 18,000 crore rupees share buyback ends for all those investors who want to tender their shares in the company as well. 1,559 is the price at which Infosys is trading at, 1.9% higher. This is an 18,000 crore rupees buyback at the price of 1,800 rupees per share, giving the investors final chance to tender their holdings to the IT major, repurchasing about 10 crore equity shares by the tender route. What has been the trend over the last 5 sessions when we have seen this window open, China? What have you advised investors? What are the queries that they have come up with? Have they been interested in? And any suggestion on the kind of, acceptance ratio that we are expecting this time?
Well, I would say the acceptance ratio will not be more than 5%, 5 to 8%, in my view.
Hmm.
Though the promoters, the initial, the promoters have said that they will not be participating. So it could be slightly higher than the usual 3 to 5%. Probably it could range between 5 to 10%. So
Yeah.
in fact, I had, like whoever asked me, I was like, yeah, tender in the shares because it's a good price and you can always buy it back because valuations are not that expensive. If you look at the current price, valuations are about 20 times 1 year forward FY27. So, but it makes sense to, of course, tender in, and then whatever is left of your holding, you can sort of again average.
Okay, got that. Just a minute to go before we shut shop for the day. So we'll just wrap up the market and come back to you, Shaina, with a lot of queries that are coming from our viewers also for you. 26,202 for the Nifty viewers. So we hopefully will end above that 26,200 odd mark. 313 points higher in rate at the day's high point is what we are looking at. The Nifty Bank 1.2% higher at 59,528. Definitely looking at this fresh closing record high as well. 1.2% higher. Strong volumes across the banking space led by private banks, financial services, also the PSU banks hovering higher. IT index, the other strong heavyweight index that also moved up about 1.5% up, and that's also definitely supported the sentiments. Metals almost end by 2% uptick. You can see oil and gas up by 1.7%. Private banks 1.4% higher. You can also see the mid and the small caps 1.3% higher each for the broader market stocks too. Top movers by the end of the session: JSW Steel, Bajaj Finserv, HDFC Life, Bajaj Finance and Jio Financial Services and Indigo. When we look at the laggards, there were just about 5 to 6 stocks that slipped in trade among those 50 stocks listed on the exchanges today. So a strong bullish trend across the Nifty stocks. Bharti Airtel, of course, seeing that pressure of the block deal. Adani Enterprises, Eicher Motors, SBI Life, Asian Paints also slipping in trade as well. So that's as far as the Nifty stocks are concerned. Let me also highlight for you the top movers from the Nifty 500 basket. Some of the strong moves that we actually saw were Fino Payments Bank, about 9% higher in trade. Panesia Biotech also up by about 8% in trade. Then you also had names like Landmark Property Developers, that's higher. You also saw Vikas Ecotech. You saw names like Natco Pharma, in fact, interesting one, 11% higher for that one as well among those top movers. When we look at the top movers, you'll also see Tourism Finance Corporation among the gainers as well, and Sadbhav Engineering as among those gainers. But on the losing side, Chennai Petro declined in trade. You also had names like Morarji Textiles that was declining. Also had names like Stallion India Fluorochemicals and Sikar Logistics and Cupid also coming under some pressure. Even Yatra Online declining in trade from the Nifty 500 basket. All right, let's jump into the questions now. We have a lot of queries coming in from all our viewers. Rishabh from Lucknow is the first question that has come up with us. He says, is now the right time to bet on travel and hotel related stocks amid spiritual tourism boom? That's an interesting question for you, Shaina. What would you advise? We are looking at how yesterday the entire beautiful ceremony at Ayodhya took place. Dhwaja Rohan was there, and we actually saw how everybody is discussing how Ayodhya is becoming the next economic hub for Uttar Pradesh as well, with the rise in spiritual tourism. What would you advise in terms of the hospitality stocks then?
Absolutely, and a lot of my friends who visited, have come back with very positive reviews, and I think domestic tourism is picking up in a big way. So hospitality as a sector overall is going to actually do well, in my view. Domestic consumers have a lot of more money in their hands. You could look at hotels. For example, ITC hotels is one of my top picks. There, I believe there is value. You could look at some of the smaller ones also, like Lemon, and make a portfolio there also of 2 or 3 hotel stocks. Other than that, of course, in airlines, you could look at Indigo. There, I believe numbers could be better going forward because the yields are up, and it is hopeful that the fuel cost will remain in check. So, I mean, for the hospitality segment, you could look at both these opportunities.
Okay, let's take the next question. This one is from Parul from Kolkata. She wants to know from you, Shaina, whether two-wheelers or four-wheelers or auto ancillaries would be better spaces to invest in for a one-year investment bet. So where should one really look at within the auto ecosystem? Two-wheelers, four-wheelers or auto ancillaries?
Well, I think two-wheelers will do better in my view than four-wheelers because there's a lot of competition. But if you want to have one stock in four-wheelers, I think Maruti could be there. You could have Ashok Leyland that you could be invested in the passenger vehicle as well as the if you have the CVs. I would say two-wheeler should do better. Bajaj Auto does look good from these levels, and one can look to invest in Bajaj Auto if you have a one-year view. So selective. And auto components, you could look at pre-call, but otherwise, I think the stocks have actually run up quite a bit. So it's better to actually review it after a couple of months.
Fantastic. All right, Shaina, we'll thank you on that note for being with us on the show and, of course, guiding all our viewers through the various opportunities that present themselves in the current investment market. And you can actually see how the markets have climbed higher above 26,200, once again giving us hopes that we could be soon inching towards fresh record high levels. With that, viewers, it's a wrap on the Business Today show. And in case you too have any questions about your investments in mutual funds, your SIPs, stocks or gold-related queries, then please do send them to us on the number that's flashing right on your screens, and we'll be happy to address them with our top market experts on the show as well. With that, it's a wrap. Stay tuned with us on India Today, and for the market coverage, join in at 9 a.m. tomorrow morning.